Welcome to this course preview on understanding and using data. The key category management data sources are retailer POS or point of sale data, retail measurement data like Nielsen and IRI scan data, household panel data, and transactional and loyalty data. Each of these data sources are derived differently, and their measures can add strategic value to Catman, sales, and marketing. Here are the learning objectives for the fully certified online course. In this course preview, we'll only be partially covering these objectives. By understanding how to properly use data, including how different sources are generated and their strengths and weaknesses, you'll be able to make better decisions when you go to analyze the data and draw insights from it. Let's get started. When we use data, we need to consider the data cube. The data cube describes marketing facts across three business measures: product, geography, and time period. All data sources that you use need to be properly cited with the source from which the data was derived, as well as these three dimensions. Here's an example of a data table. What's missing in this example based on what we covered with the data cube? We know our products, frozen breakfast and brand X frozen breakfast. We know our geography, which is the national market, but we don't have a time period or data source identified. The time period and data source reference were missing and now have been added. We are going to walk you through some tips on using data. Although some of them may seem obvious, it's better to review them than to assume your knowledge. We're going to spend some time going through each of these tips with more details and examples. This reference page is available in your training materials. The first tip is to be creative in the absence of data. In this example, a vendor is using their shipment data because there's no market data available for this specific category. From the shipment data, a total market can be created as a comparative market for retailer X. This helps the retailer understand how they're doing, both for the total category as well as for some key segments. Remember, both retailers and vendors want to see markets outside their own walls to give a benchmark to work against. Don't close your mind to new ways of considering opportunities. When using data, it's important to make comparisons to other numbers rather than presenting numbers in isolation. We can see in this example that retailer X shoppers spend $14 each in a given category. But is this good or bad? If we don't have a benchmark versus a competitor or a market, it's hard for retailer X to know what that $14 means. We can compare across the brands to understand which brand has the highest sales per buyer. Now we can compare the retailer's results against a competitor, so retailer X can confirm their shoppers are spending more dollars per buyer than their competitor. Another important tip is to ensure that you understand the data that you're using. Understanding when to use which data sources, when panel data is significant, how each type of data is sourced, understanding which measures in the data are additive or can be summed together, as well as each data source's strengths and weaknesses. All very important information for you to understand. By understanding details about each data source and being able to explain them and compare them, you will feel much more confident about the data that you're using and will be able to explain differences, issues, and watchouts to your customers. We will be reviewing the key data sources later on in this course. We should never believe anything that we hear is true, at least when it comes to data. Developing hypotheses is a very effective way to sift through data because they can guide our approach. We can prove or disprove hypotheses by focusing on specific pieces of data as shown in the example hypotheses here, which were developed to address specific business issues. Or the other option is to dig for nuggets in a huge pile of data, hoping to find that nugget. The next tip is that a picture is worth 1,000 words. This table is a bit overwhelming to look at and difficult to draw conclusions from. It shows weekly data that includes unit price and unit sales for a product. How could we make this table more user-friendly? By turning the numbers into a graph, the data becomes alive. I've created a combo chart with two data axes for both unit sales to unit price. This graph paints a picture for us. It allows us to quickly see that when unit price drops, unit sales peak. Avoiding analysis paralysis saves us time and frustration. To avoid analysis paralysis, ensure that you have a business issue to address before diving into the data, particularly when you get into some of the more complex data sources. Develop a hypothesis to prove or disprove. And lastly, have a clear idea of what you're looking for in the data. If you've done a significant amount of analysis, you don't need to present all of it, just the key findings. We tend to want to present every chart and table versus the relevant insights only. You also need to understand how to deal with variations in data. First of all, know your data sources. Remember, the next course covers the data sources for you. Secondly, if you can't explain a data set, you shouldn't use it. If you have a category management department or a contact at your third-party data vendor, they may be able to explain the results that you're uncovering. If you try to use data that doesn't completely make sense, you may get busted. Someone will find that the one number you don't understand or can't explain. Lost credibility is a hard thing to win back. The next tip is to drill down to lower levels in the data. Drilling down deeper into data is important, particularly when looking at some numbers that prompt more questions than answers. If we look at some category results shown here, we can see that the total category volume is up 7%. But what is driving these results? We need to drill down into the segments and brands to discover what's driving these results. And when we do drill down, we see that there's really only one segment, value raisers, and only one brand, brand C, driving these results. Here is the last tip, and one that is truly based on experience. If you're working on a large analysis and change paths a few times, make sure that you save the work that you've done before you change paths. Sometimes you think you're on a wrong path, only to realize hours or days later that you were originally on the right track. And don't delete your old files until the project is done. Who wants to go through all of that initial work again? We've now given you a preview of our certified course on understanding and using data. Data is one of the key requirements for category management, and it's important for you to understand the data sources that you analyze so that you can better explain and interpret the results. There are many options for you to choose from if you're interested in purchasing this course. The online course is available for purchase through Our House, which is Category Management Knowledge Group's state-of-the-art online training center. If you'd prefer, we can also run a private webinar for up to 200 people for a cost of $3,000, or a live session at a national or team meeting. Or if you're from a larger organization where many people would want to access the course, we can also make the course available for your use within your own internal learning management system. Your choices are limitless. But completing the course may not be enough. The opportunity is to have a common set of courses that become a strategic foundational program, based on topics that will create a consistent and aligned approach and understanding across the organization. Next, additional courses should be defined that are common within a specific department so that they increase knowledge in the topic areas most relevant to their department's responsibilities. And finally, curriculum should be refined based on the roles and responsibilities within different roles within the department. If you're looking for more than a course, we can work with you to help you set up a curriculum that achieves all 3 levels of training for your organization. We also have a pre-assessment that individuals in your team or organization can take to help us to identify the biggest areas of opportunity and also give us the ability to complete a post-assessment to measure return on investment of your training endeavors. So where do you go from here? If you're interested in purchasing the certified course or working with us to help you determine multifunctional training opportunities for your organization that will ultimately lead to an improvement in the way that you approach and interpret different data sources, please contact us. We don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach and will consult with you to ensure that what we deliver meets your specific needs and business issues. We hope to hear from you soon. Have an excellent day.